So I didn't realize that there are apparently women involved in your human trafficking gang.
Yeah, in this organized criminal gang. So what you have to understand is this. They didn't want the case file, the evidence to be that I manipulated people by being nice to them, to make TikTok videos. That's not what they wanted. They put me all over the news. They searched every house I own in the country with armed men. They were looking for victims of something.
Yes.
They were looking for scorned ex-girlfriends. Any woman to come forward and say that she was hurt by me. They were looking for real evidence. The fact that the case file is so laughable now is just because real evidence doesn't exist. So when you have no real evidence, you go for junk evidence. You try to make your case on human trafficking based on, well, they were nice to these girls on TikTok. And these are girls who would say to me, hey, share my post on Instagram. I'll be like, yeah, no problem. So, because I'm a big social media guy. I don't know a single person when I had Instagram, from my cameraman to my personal trainer, who didn't ask me to blow them up on Instagram. But that is now the link they have between me and these people, saying that they're human trafficked, even though these people, defend me. But there are 2 women involved, yes. My personal assistant and her friend got thrown in prison with me. Essentially, their crime was inviting one of the alleged victims to a birthday party that I wasn't even at, that happened in this house. That's how they tied them in.
How long were these 2 women in prison?
The same 92 days. The same 92 days. The worst part...
Have they been charged?
Yeah, along with us. They're part of the organized criminal gang, which is hilarious because Luana, one of the girls, has never, ever, in the whole 6 years I've known her, had a conversation with Andrew once. They don't know each other. Andrew didn't even know her name. And she's apparently a part of this organized criminal gang. The interesting part is, do you remember Christopher Hitchens when he was alive?
I knew him well.
I've never met the guy, but I read an article he did for Vanity Fair about 11 or 12 years ago, where he volunteered to be waterboarded to test the effectiveness of torture on foreign prisoners. And the conclusion he came to was, in the article, and I remembered it vividly when I was in jail, if you don't have the answer to their questions and you are being tortured, you can psychologically break. You have to be torturing people who do know the answers. Otherwise, this isn't an effective mode of operating. And essentially, the way I look at the way these 2 women were treated was they were locked in prison because they know us. They're an attack vector on us. One is my personal assistant, so she knows everything I do. She does airport pickups, pays my electricity bills. And every week or so, they had the keys of freedom dangled in front of them. Are you ready to tell us about the Tate's criminal activities now? And they said no, and they stayed in prison. The next week, you ready to tell us about the criminal activities that the Tate brothers did? And the problem is, they can't have told the police about criminal activities that I take part in, because those criminal activities don't exist. So I see it as a method of psychological torture. I'm not mad I was sent to jail. Any notions of being angry at injustice and stuff that I truly have in my soul is for those 2 girls who went to jail with me, because they didn't deserve it. I mean, I've probably done something in my life that made me deserve something. These are 2 wonderful people, and they were sent to prison with me. One for having the crime of being my personal assistant, and one for the crime of knowing me and showing up at parties where these alleged victims who say they weren't victims were at. And they're charged in this organized criminal gang.
But to be clear, none of the charges pertain to sex,
no,
rape,
no,
selling anyone,
no,
slavery, moving people across international borders to pimp them out.
No, but that's certainly what they would have wanted. It's not the fact that, as I said, the evidence is junk because they now have to put a case together.
But I'm confused as to how what you're being accused of constitutes human trafficking.
Well, it's a very loose law. It's a very,
But the term doesn't seem to have a real definition.
No, it doesn't, especially when you understand that the Romanian alleged victims, who say they're not victims, have lived in this country for 10 to 15 years before I ever showed up here. So I'm not sure how the trafficking took place. But in a very loose way, they had to prove I was doing something with women by coercing them for my financial benefit, which is how we ended up with the TikTok story. Because the real evidence they wanted, maybe the prosecutors, maybe the people who attacked me genuinely thought I was a pimp. Maybe they did when they started this. And they assumed that the perp walk and putting me in handcuffs and walking me in front of the cameras would have women coming forward saying they were harmed. Maybe they were looking for real evidence. I don't believe if they knew that they were going to end up with this TikTok story, they would have initiated this attack in the first place. I really don't think.
Why do you think they did? What do you think this is actually about?
I think this is about Andrew. I think this is about Andrew. And the way to attack somebody is through his loved ones. I'm not going to say that, Andrew got me put in jail. But what a way to get to Andrew than to throw his little brother in jail and say he's part of your gang, he's a human trafficker too. Because I don't even have any allegations of misogyny against me. I've never made a YouTube video and joked about men being better drivers. I've never done any of these things, but I had to go to jail along with him. So attacking me was a way of attacking him, and attacking my personal assistant and her friend, I think, was a way of hoping you were going to turn these women into prosecution witnesses, essentially, to lie and say that we did crimes. Yeah, it's about Andrew and his message. That's all it's about.
And it's the gender role stuff, you think?
The gender role stuff, telling men to be men, it's just dangerous for what Andrew calls the matrix, or the deep state is trying to purport on men today. It's very interesting to think that the first man ever banned from discussion in UK public schools is Andrew Tate. Adolf Hitler, you were allowed to talk about him during World War II and after World War II. The leader of Argentina during the Falklands War, Osama bin Laden after 9/11. Terrorists, school shooters, the 7/7 bombers who attacked the subway in London. You were allowed to discuss all these people in school. The first man ever to be banned is a mixed race, a half-black kid from the projects who came up out of the projects and became a multimillionaire. Maybe they just want the working class to stay the working class. Maybe they don't want people like him opening his mouth. Maybe it's because he joked that men are better drivers than women, and he's a misogynist. I don't think it's the third option. I think it's either option one or option two. I think he's dangerous to what people want to purport on the society. And it's as simple as that. It's certainly not because I've human trafficked anyone. That's not why I was in jail. That can't be why I was in jail, because that has never happened.
What was it like being in jail with your brother?
Romanian jail is no picnic. But frankly, once they moved me into a room with Andrew, frankly, I quite enjoyed jail. You know, I think that when I got out, I spoke to a girl I knew, and she goes, you know, in 3 years, you'll laugh about this. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I was laughing in jail, and I'm laughing right now. They might send me back for 5 years for TikTok theft. But TikTok theft. TikTok theft. That's what I'm officially accused of. But frankly, I quite enjoyed it. I feel like me and my brother are very busy people. We live together. We've spent every waking hour together since we were born, essentially. But we have our own lives to live. You know, I've got my daughter. I've got business to run. He's got business to run. We're both at our laptops a lot. We're on our phones a lot. We're on our devices a lot. I said to Andrew after the first month, I said, you know, we may have had more meaningful conversations this month than we would have potentially had this year if we hadn't been sent to jail. So I feel like our relationship is stronger than before. And there's no universe where I can't make Andrew laugh. And you have all the time in the world to play your stupid jokes. So every time someone didn't want to smoke a cigarette, you insult him, you call him names, that's what guys do. Andrew would go out to visit the doctor or the lawyer, etc. I don't know if he's going to be back in 10 minutes or in an hour. And I'd open a pack of cigarettes and stand by the door like this. So the first thing he does when he opens the door is me forcing him to smoke a cigarette. I had all the time in the world to play jokes on him. So I still don't see it as such a negative thing. And people will call me crazy. But it was me and my brother drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes, talking. You know, we have an innumerable amount of stories and experiences and ideas, and he knows things I don't. I know things he doesn't. I'm a Christian, he's a Muslim. We have ideas that conflict, and we debate because we're smart. And I really think it brought us closer together.
What was it like to be off your phone for 9 months or 90 days?
92 days. It was, you get used to it very quickly, but you have nothing to do with your hands. That's the problem. My cigarette's gone out. That's why I started smoking. But everything became entertainment. I don't like junk food. I don't like sugar. Andrew would get a chocolate bar from somewhere. You want half? Yeah, fine. Because that was fun. New sensations became entertainment. We had a bottle of mouthwash. We didn't use it every time. Every 4 days, I'd use some mouthwash. It would kind of make me smile because it would remind me of life outside of prison. So in this world of constant bombardment and constant stimulation, you find an appreciation for the things in life that you overlooked before. A handshake, a hug, a joke. And I appreciated those things much more now that I've come out of jail than I ever did before.
What an interesting take on it. Did you meet anyone interesting in there?
Interesting. Define interesting. I met people, to be fair to the Romanian justice system, it works the way it does because Romania hasn't got much money. If you arrest some guy because you suspect he's been breaking into cars, for example, and you can't hold him without evidence and you let him go, you'll never find him again. He'll go back to his village and you'll never see the guy again. So there was one kid who was in jail for looking in car windows, essentially. We're going to investigate this guy month after month after month. Couldn't afford lawyers, was just sitting around in jail. So people had very interesting stories. I met heroin dealers, real human traffickers. I mean, like actual human traffickers. I'd go to court, and the policeman who would escort me would say, "Oh, they definitely got to let you out." And I say, "Why?" They said, "Because I see real human trafficking cases. They've got basements and dungeons with urine-stained mattresses and handcuffs and messages saying, better get back out on the streets. That's real human trafficking. They're accusing you because you told a girl to post a TikTok video at a certain time because it's better interaction. That's their evidence against you. You're definitely getting out." And then I didn't get out. And all the police were shocked. So I met some very interesting prisoners. I met some very interesting prison guards. Yeah, but...
What were the guards like?
The guards were very good people.
Really?
I feel like the guards knew, they know what a criminal is and what a criminal isn't. I'm not going to say they knew my case. I'm not going to say they knew I was innocent. But they know what human traffickers, rapists, sexual criminals actually look like because they deal with them day to day. One of the policemen was telling me a story of after a day in court, he had to stay in the police van. His hands were shaking because he couldn't escort the guy back into jail because he said I was going to get on my nightstick and break his teeth in because he saw what the guy had been doing to children. You know, these guys know what real criminals look like. And a lot of them just wanted to make sure we were okay. They didn't want anything bad to happen in the prison. And I could say I made 2 or 3 friends from the guards. They were very good people doing their job diligently, and nobody abused their power, and nobody mistreated anyone. Yeah, real good people. And they weren't the ones who did this to me. So I couldn't harbor any hate towards them.
Who do you think did it to you?
I don't want to say anything that's going to get me into trouble on this one.
But you have a good sense of it.
Let's just say this would have happened in any NATO or European Union country that I chose to live in. It would have happened. It would have happened in Spain. It would have happened in Poland. It would have happened in France. The French, the Spanish, and the Polish have nothing against me. I think the Romanians really have nothing against me. The Romanian people love me. You know, Romania is the most is the most Christian country in the world outside of the Vatican City. 98.8% Orthodox Christian. These people share the same values as me. They don't feel people like me should be locked up. I have so much support in Romania from both powerful people and common people alike. So it's very hard for me to believe that the Romanians woke up one day and thought, this guy who publicizes how wonderful our country is and spends millions of dollars here in this country, let's get him. I find it very difficult to believe that that was a Romanian idea because it's not the kind of thing you would do. Why would you? If you had a great neighbor move into your neighborhood, raise the property values, talk about how great your neighborhood is, who's a law-abiding citizen, didn't hurt anyone, would you think, yeah, we need to go throw petrol bombs in his house? Let's burn his house down, let's get him out. No, you wouldn't. So I believe this would have happened anywhere. So I won't say who did it, but I don't hold Romania responsible at all, and I never will. People said if they drop this case, oh, they can't just drop it because you'll sue the country. And I famously tweeted, I will never sue the country of Romania. Romania has struggling hospitals, struggling orphanages, infrastructure issues, the pensions are a mess, the teachers need pay rises. They've made me feel welcome up until this point, and this has been my home country. My daughter is a Romanian. I'm not going to steal $200 million from the government and do what with it? I don't need the money. I don't want this to reflect negatively on this country in any way, but it has. Who with money and power and influence wants to come here now? It's made people nervous, and that hurts me. As I said, my daughter is a Romanian citizen. This is her country. So it's my country too, isn't it? So I don't like the reputational damage this country has faced. And exactly who did it, I think in 5 or 6 years we'll find out. There'll be fingerprints on a lot of pieces of paper that we'll be able to know exactly why this happened. But it didn't happen because I'm a human trafficker. Do you feel human trafficked? Do you feel kidnapped, Tucker, here in my house?
I feel very charmed, and that's a form of human trafficking.
Yeah, no, technically it is, yeah.
Oh.